Hey everybody, welcome to Game Mess Mornings with me, Mike Minotti, your host from GiantBomb.com. Thank you for tuning in. In this episode, we're going to be talking about some mobile games going offline, why College Football 27 is making everybody mad, and we're going to look at the Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced reviews. It's going to be a good one because we have Jeff Bakalar on the show. Jeff, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right on this Wednesday morning. Thank you for having me, making my triumphant return to GMM. It's a great day. Thanks for having me.
I wanted to say this was your first ever appearance, which apparently isn't true, but I might continue believing that, so I feel special if that's okay.
Brother, it might be only my second, not gonna lie.
Wow.
You know?
They say you never forget your second. That's a famous thing people say all the time.
That's exactly the truth, and I'll tell you what, it checks out just going off life experiences.
Oh gosh, yeah. This I do appreciate you being here. We are continuing to fill in for Jeff Grubb, who's something about a beach, right? I don't know what he does. If I'm not working with him, I don't care what he's up to. Honestly, he can do whatever he wants. It's fine.
In the theater of my mind, I kind of just picture that guy under an umbrella on the beach playing some Chinese retro portable thing.
Yeah.
His family desperately clamoring for his attention to help put up an umbrella or something.
Right.
And him
ignoring
just
them.
cannot be bothered.
Right. Yeah. He's too busy playing Sin and Punishment for the Nintendo 64, which I do approve of. I'm glad that's what he seems to have gone to after I was talking that up so much recently. So, hey, that's fine. We hope that Grubb is having a fun time. He'll be back next week, so you're going to be stuck with me for the rest of this one. But that's okay, because we got plenty to talk about. Before we get into things, let's explain ourselves. Don't forget to go to giantbomb.com/join. Become a premium member to get access to our special shows, including the new series of This Is the Run, where I'm playing Sewer Shark for the Sega CD. Also had a new episode of The 9 Lives of Mr. Mistopheles go up just yesterday. And of course, there's all those more recent premium shows that have now, they got the full run in there. So you can watch all of Portal Pals. You can watch all of Marry Me Tomodachi and so much more. We got other stuff cooking in there as well. As for this show, most weekdays, Jeff Grubb will help piece your gaming life back together. I'm not Jeff Grubb. I'm Mike Minotti. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get input from a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you're watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to this show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS feed on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, LuTube.
Oh, I wanted to do it. Can I do my own take?
You give it your own spin. Go ahead.
You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube.
We have a lot to get into, so let's start the show with Mario Kart Tour is being shut down and no offline version is planned. This is by Dave Aubrey at VGC. Mario Kart Tour, the mobile iteration of Nintendo's iconic racing series, is being shut down in just 2 months. Announced on Nintendo's official Mario Kart Tour FAQ webpage, the end of service notification explains that Mario Kart Tour will no longer be playable as of 22:59 PT on September 29, 2026. Unfortunately for dedicated Mario Kart Tour fans, there are no plans for an offline version to play after the service ends. An offline version is not scheduled for release. Nintendo said,
perhaps this is no coincidence, but this is also the first time I've heard about Mario Kart Tour in a very long while. Are people playing it?
You have to imagine some people played. I mean, it's weird because this was a part of their initial very big push into mobile. When the Wii U flopped, they're like, we're going to do a few things here. One, we're going to expand our media outside of games. So that's how we got things like the theme parks and these movies. That worked. That's been working well. We have the Switch. working incredibly well for them. And the third pillar was we're going into mobile. And I think that's probably what excited investors the most at the time. And it's the one that bore the least amount of fruit, to the point where even the Mario Kart mobile game, and it's Mario Kart.
Yeah.
Mario Kart is huge. It's often the best-selling game on whatever Nintendo system it is on. And this thing just never really got that much traction going.
So there was this one, and then there's the Mario Run one, right?
There's
the
Mario
Perpetual Runner.
There was Mario Run. There was some kind of a Dr. Mario. There was their original one that was an RPG. The only one that seemed like it ever kind of got something going was the Fire Emblem one. Fire Emblem Heroes popped off for a bit, and that was doing well for a while. They still do stuff every once in a while. There was another Fire Emblem game that came out somewhat recently that I never hear anybody talk about. And I feel like there's even something else announced recently that I can barely forget about. Now, there's that Animal Crossing game as well, Pocket Camp. And that's one where it's like, oh, Animal Crossing, what a great fit for mobile, right? And still nobody really cared. But when they took that offline, they created a kind of offline version. It's like, hey, pay $10, whatever, and you'll just get the entire game. And that seems like a good compromise from, making a mobile game and then ending service of it instead of just making something that nobody can ever play again. You do that. And they're saying that that is not planned right now for Mario Kart Tour. And, we're the idea of digital games very much sort of being discussed right now. And that is sort of the reality with a digital live service game like this, is that it could just be gone forever at some point, which is, terrible from a preservation angle. And it's just weird in general to think that there's going to be a Mario Kart game that you just cannot play.
Yeah. I never, no, actually, I take it back. Maybe I did play this once when it first came out. Certainly there had, what was I don't remember the mechanic. I don't remember the loop. Was it like, was there some
a lot of costumes.
Yeah.
Right?
And that's what you're paying for?
I think that's part of it. I mean, there was a gotcha element for sure. And I don't know. You're probably paying for more courses, things like that. I remember never liking the track design, because this is the tour aspect of it. So the tracks would be like pairs. There's a lot of branching paths, and they would put some of these tracks into Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in the DLC for that. And they were often not the best tracks because they just kind of didn't feel as focused. Right. So it's weird because it's like, wasn't a great game. That's for sure. But
We'd be playing it. We'd be playing it if it was great.
Yeah, exactly. But it still would be nice to have some kind of offline version, especially when they have done that for Pocket Camp. Especially when there's been some momentum with people trying to get legislators to create some laws to stop this sort of thing from happening, right? Now, I don't know how far along that's getting exactly, but it is just kind of this weird thing for these companies to just completely get rid of the games, which sucks for people who have been spending money in Mario Kart Tour.
Well, because the taking of it down just seems nefarious, right? Because it's like, why not just leave the thing with an offline component? What is the risk? What is the exposure there? I don't understand. The only thing I could understand is like this maybe boardroom dark pattern thinking of like, well, we can't just let people have a thing indefinitely for free.
Right.
That'll distract them from buying the new thing.
Right. But you think they would know with this one, like, look, obviously not that many people care about Mario Kart Tour, but just let them for $10, buy it and get every costume, get every track. They're probably not even going to play it that much. You'll make a little bit of scratch from that, and people won't have to be mad at you and feel just kind of icky about the whole thing.
Yeah.
So, it's been a week. It's been a week for Microsoft, Xbox, and PlayStation, right? Always just a fun reminder that Nintendo is capable of being shitty as well.
Yeah, I subscribe to the Grub school of thought of like everyone airing out the dirtiest of their laundry all in one shot so that it can all just go down the disposal, and the goldfish-esque memory of the average consumer clicks in, locks in, where all this is unfortunately water under the bridge.
All right, next up here. So obviously there's all the Xbox news with their layoffs and the studios that they are sort of parting ways with.
Right.
Now this came out from some reporting. Xbox Game Pass has reportedly lost millions of users since 2024. This is by Andy Robson at VGC. He says Xbox Game Pass has reportedly declined by 4 million users since Microsoft last shared subscription numbers. That's according to both Bloomberg and the Wall Street Journal, which claimed that Game Pass currently has around 30 million subscribers, down from the 34 million that Microsoft last reported in 2024. According to court documents published during its legal battle around the Activision Blizzard acquisition, Microsoft had expected Game Pass to have around 77 million subscribers by this point in its long-term strategy. 77 million. They're at 30. However, as acknowledged by Xbox's new CEO, Ashish Sharma, earlier this week, Game Pass has not grown at the pace Microsoft expected. It's not off by a little bit, Jerv. They thought they were going to have 77 million right now. They're at 30 million, which is down from 34 million a couple years ago. And I think this is one of the big reasons why all of this is happening with Xbox. Was the big bet was Game Pass, and that just didn't work.
Yeah, I think with a lot of things, safe is death, right? And I think Game Pass outstayed its welcome without meaningfully innovating in a way that was a compelling, proposition for people. And I think as a consequence, all these sort of load-bearing pillars of the business models began to crumble, and we're sort of where we're at now. I think it's very easy to put yourself back into the glory days of the highest of highs, where what Game Pass sort of experienced, and make the calculus of like, oh, this will have 70 plus million subscribers if things keep going the way it was going. But that's not the case. It actually went in the exact opposite direction, and the value wasn't there, and people got stale. And I think that's the one constant, is that if a product is not doing or giving you the feeling it gave, because that was the thing, right? Game Pass became such a necessity, right? It was like, if I'm not a Game Pass member, I'm like losing money, right?
Am I even really a gamer if I'm not a Game Pass member?
And even for the mechanisms of like discovery, it was pretty successful. And obviously a lot of reporting has come out that it was a occasionally deeply unfavorable revenue split and situation for game makers. But nevertheless, like, it just lost that motion. Like, it just could not maintain any of that. And I do think a lot of these things that find early success, their value is sort of front loaded in a way that is unrealistic. And as things begin to play out, they show their true colors, and not being able to maintain that level of interest and excitement. This is unsurprising.
The other kind of reporting that I saw from Bloomberg is kind of sort of mentioning the problem with Game Pass. Some of it is timing, where, all right, we're launching Game Pass and we are going to buy all of these studios so we can make content, because that's what's going to get people excited. Just the breadth of games, of different genres, of different sizes that we are going to have here. And meanwhile, what everybody was actually doing was just playing Minecraft, Fortnite, Call of Duty. People were very much finding their one game, and then these games were becoming platforms. So to the point where there kind of aren't 77 million gamers out there right now that would be interested in a robust library that Game Pass was offering. They did very well with, I think, people like us, gamers of our ilk, who kind of grew up like, we like being able to play a bunch of different things of different genres and this and that. And that's where they found success. And then they struggled to expand outside of that. So those investments in those studios that were, doing things where they thought like, yeah, it's going to be great to have a South of Midnight, because that's going to expand our portfolio on Game Pass. And it kind of turns out that wasn't actually driving interest. So the whole thing is just kind of a bummer, because Game Pass seems like something that maybe should have worked better than it could have. It seemed like
Yes.
you could see why maybe it seemed like a good bet at a time when everybody was doing these things, right? Disney Plus was popping off obnoxiously so. We had a million of these subscription services. Probably another part of the problem, because how many of these things can any one person actually have?
Well, that's how I think the history will be written, right? Because if you are a console manufacturer and you find yourself in the impossibly fortunate situation that Game Pass found itself, like how much, how much more of a favorable thing could you ask for? We found a thing where we are guaranteed to receive money every month from people who are excited to pay it, right? Like who are glad, like this thing has momentum, this thing has excitement, and pissing that away and not being able to maintain it, I do think will be a major part of how the history books are written when it comes to the autopsy of Xbox.
What's interesting is, since 2024 when we had this drop, that's when Call of Duty's on Game Pass now,
Yeah.
right? And that didn't move the needle. And if that doesn't move the needle, nothing really will. It's still this kind of awkward thing of, well, that's still 30 million people giving you money every
Right.
month or every year. So they can't stop. They can't stop doing Game Pass because then they are just going to lose that revenue stream. They're kind of in a bit of an awkward spot with it. All right. College Football 27 is pissing everyone off. This is at Mark Delaney at GameSpot. Ask players what their favorite mode is in EA's revitalized college football series, and most will tell you it's Dynasty or Road to Glory, which give players control of an entire school football program or a created player, respectively. Unlike Ultimate Team, EA's long-standing pay-to-win mode seen in all of its sports games, these modes have largely been untouched by microtransactions, but College Football 27 has crossed the line, according to many players, to voice their frustrations online. Dynasty and Road to Glory now each allow you to pay to instantly improve your coach or athlete, rather than improve them over time through play. With the coach level cap of 100, players would need to spend 12,000 points, which equates to $100 if bought in bulk. The early access Ultimate Edition of the game includes 4,600 points, meaning even the most expensive version of the game seems designed to ask players to fork over more money or else trudge through a remarkable grind. As one player on Twitter explained, you can see that breakdown below. Players can no longer tweak settings to level up faster or fastest. Speediest option is now the default in both modes, while slower options still exist in Dynasty. On Twitter, a popular college football streamer is mobilizing players to boycott the in-game pay-to-level options using the hashtag CFB Play Don't Pay. The time of writing this article, the hashtag is trending at number 8 on the website. Meanwhile, on Reddit, some players are promising to skip the game because this new in-game purchase scheme has rubbed them the wrong way.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully there's momentum here with the sort of consumer response. Although I don't know, boycotting just doesn't always do what we
every
want
time,
it to.
Jerf. Every time I see that, like it's cynical, but I always remember that boycott Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 or whichever one it was, Steam group. Then the game came out. You could see everybody in that group just playing that game on launch day.
See, what we got to do, folks, we got to boycott college.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what we got to do. The scam of higher education. That's what we got to do. I think EA missed the message. I think they were trying to emulate the college financing experience.
Right. The most pay to win of all the educational institutions.
The most pay to win. And then you wind up overpaying and really get nothing on your investment because you're in debt up to your eyeballs until you're 53. Yeah. What a colossal disaster in stereo from every point. Stepping on every goddamn rake in the yard. Am I wrong? Didn't this game come back in the last 2 years or so to with very favorable reception, right?
There was no college football game for a while. And then it came back and was huge, right? It's been doing very well. People were very excited about it. And that's not enough because line must always go up, right? So, and there's already Ultimate Team. You already have that for the big microtransaction heavy mode. And that makes EA plenty of money, but it's not enough and I'm sure they are having these board meetings at all time. Again, it goes, there was that anecdote about Don Matrick looking at Halo 4 and just being like, can we have the real money auction house from Diablo 3 in there? I bet those kinds of insane conversations are happening constantly. So of course, some executive is like, well, if Dynasty and Road to Glory are popular, why don't we have microtransactions in there? Oh, imagine how amazing it would be if people could play to level up faster. Wouldn't they love that and be happy to give us money because they are out of touch and greedy? So here it is. Literally pay to win. Again, $100 if you want to get to the max level. And, stuff like that. It's all, even if you don't engage with it, it is kind of this weird dark cloud of, I'm doing this grind, I'm trying to like level up naturally, and I could just pay to get through it all. That's what begins to make it feel less like a game and more like some task.
Everything just feels like it is done for the instant revenue gratification. No longer does anything seem like, oh, we're going to play the long game here. We're going to like develop a community, develop a fan base, and like grow the thing. It's just smash and grab 24/7, 365. And look, I don't know. My normie friends tell me the Madden experience is dog shit. FC still seems to be cooking. I don't really, have my finger on the pulse of the wider sentiment. Dib and I fired up NHL 26 last night, and I'm like, God, this game feels a million years old. Just in terms of like how it plays and how it feels. It's like borderline playable. So yeah, I don't know. I guess it's like a larger conversation of like just how popular are sports games anymore outside of FC.
It seems like they often are. They feel like the Madden games still often sell well, and that's maybe one of the biggest disconnects I feel as a hardcore gamer or something is my lack of interest in those things. And I like sports. It's not like an old timey, oh, they're playing their sports balls over there. I would like good sports games, especially in like the Ultimate Team era of these things. I find them kind of repulsive. Even when they would start throwing that stuff into like the wrestling games, the WWE games, I'm like, just everything about this presentation, everything about the structure of this is just off-putting. And I wonder how long people will take it. I think people will take it a lot because there's just a group of people who want to play the college football game, who want to play Madden. They are just desperately into that. It is one of 2 video games they will buy every year. It's a joke, the Madden Call of Duty players, but that's a real audience.
It is. I kind of call them the Kalshi players now. Just because, look, forgive me for making this assumption, but anecdotally in my circle of friends, the same people who are the predictive gamblers are the same people who only exclusively play Madden. And I think perhaps those types of players are wired a certain way to maybe just accept some of this stuff in a way that is disproportionate than the rest of the community. I don't know. Again, perhaps I'm making an assumption. Well, I mean,
but if all you do is play like a Call of Duty and a Madden, you at a certain point you are probably normalized to the aggressive microtransactions and the live service element of it and some of this grossness. Now, it seems even then that there's been a bit of overstepping here with trying to do that to this mode, and there is some backlash. You do wonder how it can break containment, how big a deal can it possibly be for a game that has a huge audience that isn't following trends on Twitter, right? So things like that. They might dislike it, and I hope that there's more momentum, and I hope that there's even like, oh wow, we got to pull back. This one's pissing people off too much. Maybe that can happen more so than impacting sales, which is hard to do. Getting really mad online sometimes for whatever reason can make these companies change course. We'll see if that happens here. All right. Why don't we take a quick break? We'll come back. We got some Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resync reviews to look at. Be right back, everybody. Hey, everybody. Game Mess Mornings is continuing. Me, Mike Bernardi, got Jeff Bakalar here. Next up, Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced reviews are in. It's at an 87 on Open Critic. An 87 for this sort of a remaster make. Right, I never know what to call these. They're like kind of in between a remaster remake to me.
You said master make?
A remaster make. Remaster
Something
make.
about that that's giving me deep pleasure. I don't know
I'm
why.
pointing that one here. Yeah,
feels good. Feels
remaster.
good.
Did you play? Okay, wait a second. I just looked. It's 86 now, everybody. So maybe it got slightly worse since I last looked on Open Critic. Everyone, calm down.
The markets are going crazy,
folks.
folks.
This is crazy. It's 86. I'm gonna amend this.
Players are losing their minds.
Amend this. 86. Did you like the original Black Flag? If you played it at all?
Yes, this is the. Maybe this is not entirely accurate, but this is the only the only Assassin's Creed game that I can like draw from memory that I remember enjoying and playing. Everything else is just sort of a blur to me, and the Black Flag stuff is the thing that I kind of dig.
I was really into the series for a while there in the beginning. Kind of that one, the 2 trilogy. I even liked 3 a lot, which is a bit of a hot take. And then 4 was super fun. I liked the pirate stuff in it was incredible. You know what I think they should do? I think they should take that pirate stuff and just make it its own game outside of Assassin's Creed.
That'll never work, Mike. What do you mean?
So let's add an A to it. Let's make a quadruple A pirate only Assassin's Creed spinoff. That'd be a big deal. That game did come out, which is wild, and not only did no one play it, nobody even reveled in its failure the way they did with like a Concord or a High Guard. No one could even care.
Okay, so I tell this story fairly often. I played that game so long ago at an E3. Like, right. I'm not joking. I think I played it in like 2016 or something. Like a version of it. It was at the booth. It was playable. It was fine. And then it just disappeared for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Did you go to that E3? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I didn't get to play it. And I think because they kept rebooting. I think they just couldn't figure out how to actually make it a real life service game that people were going to actually spend money on. And they never did figure that out. It turns out they would have been better off just releasing the first version of it and probably getting the same result. I have my own version of that with Hollow Knight Silksong, where I played it at like E3 2019. Then it was the game for years. Everyone's like, where's that? And I'm like, I played it. It wasn't even like a special thing, that one. That was just on the show for Nintendo's booth amongst a bunch of random third-party things. Nobody even cared that much then. I'm like, I just played it as I was like leaving on the last day.
Everyone has their own. That's what I love about. That's what I kind of miss about E3, because everyone has their own strange story of like a thing that they experienced that played out in the most unbelievable way. I have the Skull and Bones thing, and I have I'm sure much more people have, is the BioShock Infinite teaser thing.
Oh, yes, I saw that. Yeah, that whole thing where everyone's like, this is going to be the greatest thing ever. And it turned out that was all a lie.
And just like talking to Ken Levine, like after that, and like oh man, what a I don't want to call it a bait and switch, but that is kind of what it was. Like,
some of my favorites are the in-theater demos for games that never came out, including pirate-themed, that Pirates of the Caribbean game that sort of was going to play like Fable 2.
I don't know that.
Yeah, I saw that. And then the original Prey 2, which was a sci-fi bounty hunter open city game that looked really cool, and I was really bummed when they canceled that. All right, let's read some quotes for some of these reviews, like Liam Croft at Push Square, who gave Black Flag Resynced an 8 out of 10. Like a captain going down with their ship, Ubisoft has remained loyal to the classic Assassin's Creed Black Flag experience in this new Resynced version. It's as you remember it, except better, bigger, and markedly flashier in all the right ways. Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced demonstrate that there's still a charm to staying faithful. Ash Whaling at Well Played with a 9 out of 10 says, with a blisteringly hot current-gen facelift and a complete mechanical overhaul that actually fixes past mistakes, Black Flag Resynced skips the open-world bloat, deliver pure, unadulterated pirate dopamine.
Whoa, you could buy that at the gas station near me, pirate dopamine. That's
give me that pirate dopamine, right?
Hell
right?
Yeah.
Jared Green at IGN for 9 out of 10 says, more than just shinier version of the same game you remember. Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced brings what was already one of the best games in the series up to today's standards. They have a bit more of a muted response here. Jordan Ramey at Ramy at GameSpot with a 710 says, Resynced is a half step towards something truly fantastic. If you play it, you will see the strengths of Black Flag. You'll see why the original game was the de facto pirate video game for years. You also find a remake that doesn't manage to take the crown from the very game that it's remaking. I wonder. I know one thing that's not here is some of the current day stuff, right? I think that's been removed, so maybe some people have different feelings about that. I don't know how much.
I'd be happy about that. That seems great.
I don't know. I both kind of like it and also don't know if I would miss it. Right, especially Black Flag was weird because that was the first time where you weren't that player Desmond guy, right?
Yeah,
because he's dead. So you're just sort of some non-speaking silent protagonist in an office.
I'm not. This is not a unique thought, or I'm sure a thought that is not shared by many people. But Assassin's Creed to me is just like that storyline is just the most. Do we even need this thing at all in the entire lineage of this game? Like, it's not important. Right? It's kind of irrelevant. Like you know what I mean? It just seems like the most needless thing. Again, it's fine. It's fine that it exists. Well, people like it. That's great. But it just does not need to be a part of these games.
Well, I think even more so than like, oh, do people like it or not? One of the reasons why it's not in the remake is because at the time, that stuff was all kind of pointing to story threads that never got pulled or really followed up on. That was that they kind of never really knew where they were going with that stuff. To the point where I don't check out Assassin's Creed that much anymore. I never even played Shadows. I didn't touch a second of it. But whenever I do play one of these, like Valhalla, I'm always shocked when the real world stuff is still in there. And like that one English guy is like still hanging out from 2. Yeah. I'm like, you're still in these games? You? Oh, okay.
I think it's a consequence of like never being able to decouple the sort of like whiplash that you experienced playing the very first Assassin's Creed game when all this stuff showed up, because that's not how it presented, right? Like that's not how they just sort of were like, oh, this is actually what's going on. And I remember that being such a violent whiplash of like, what? This is the underlying explanation of what we're doing here. If you like it, that's cool. I'm not going to yuck your yum, but I also think we could lose it. Leave it on the editing room floor. Oh well.
I bet this is going to be the first of many of these kind of remaster makes for Assassin's Creed, which we've had. Like there's like the remastered Assassin's Creed 2 trilogy, which wasn't even done very well. I wouldn't be shocked if it's just straight up, okay, this treatment now for Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, Revelation, maybe even Assassin's Creed 1, which I like Assassin's Creed 1. I think Assassin's Creed 1 gets too much flack sometimes. Unity, which I think people have come back on after initially the launch of that game was rough. I think people respect Unity now. And Syndicate has actually quite a few fans as well. That could benefit from that. I bet all of those games, and at that point, hey, maybe 3 and maybe Rogue. Remember Assassin's Creed Rogue? Right, that was the one that kind of came out concurrent with this one, I think. Maybe with 5. That was the one that was only Xbox 360 at a time when Xbox One was out. They were making a lot of Assassin's Creed games for a while there.
Oh my God, this is like my biggest nightmare of like being on some sort of game show and I'm meant to like organize all the Assassin's games with like tiles. I'll disqualify me now. There's no way I could do it.
I had to review Assassin's Creed Liberation for the PSP, which was like the New Orleans one. And it had like a cool idea and a cool setting. And I thought it was incredibly unfun to play though. So there's just been a ton of these things. And there's, it's the one thing at Ubisoft that has always mostly done pretty well for them. They had to take one break one time because Unity sort of threw them off, and then no one cared about Syndicate. So they took like their big break, which was maybe a couple of years. And then that's when Origins came out and they had the new formula. And hey, I bet they'll remake Origins and Valhalla and Odyssey and all those RPG ones at some point as well. You gonna check this out, you think?
That's a good question. I would say probably not. I just, I have to be really I have to really pick and choose my where I put my energy into games and stuff like that. I will wait to sort of see on the kind of like the circles we travel in, like that feedback. There is a
Sure.
threshold that gets crossed when it's like, oh god, I think I have to play this expedition game, right? Well, that's obviously
Right, right, right.
a once a year kind of thing. I don't know. I just can't see like this, master make getting to the place where like, oh, this is something you really got to check out, Bakalar. It's probably gonna just miss the threshold for me playing it.
I want to check it out at least. I don't know if I'm gonna like play through Black Flag again, but I don't want to give it a look see. That's for sure. All right, next up here, Toys for Bob still wants to work on Banjo-Kazooie, saying we're huge fans. This is Andy Robinson at VGC. The Crash and Spyro studio, Toys for Bob, has reiterated that it would love to work on Rare and Xbox's dormant Banjo-Kazooie series. The California-based studio has built a reputation for platformer revivals. They worked on Crash Bandicoot 4 and recently announced a new installment for Spyro the Dragon. Banjo-Kazooie seems to be next on the studio's hit list, and so reiterated in an interview with Kinda Funny that it would jump at the chance to work on the franchise. The franchise we love, said Associate Creative Director Lou Studdert. As platformer fans, Banjo's top of the heap. We have some huge, huge fans of that franchise on our staff. I'm talking, they've got the Jiggy as their profile pick and that kind of thing. Of all of the franchises that Xbox has not taken advantage of, that they own, Banjo-Kazooie is the most criminal to me. I still think about how people popped off when they were just revealed for Smash Brothers, how excited everyone was for that. And it's like, boy, imagine if you could take that energy and put it into some kind of new game that was just a faithful revival. There was a point when we were getting the Reignited trilogy and the Crash Bandicoot Insane trilogy where these 3D platformers were making a comeback, and it was
Right.
it was shocking to me that some sort of Banjo-Kazooie thing didn't happen right away then.
It is baffling because we've gotten revisits of things that we rightfully probably shouldn't have out of the order of leapfrogging a Banjo-Kazooie game.
Lots of Bubsy stuff, right?
Yeah, like I mean, no offense to people who maybe are not here, but like, come on, come on. I mean, Banjo-Kazooie rightfully earns a place before something like that, in my opinion. What was the last actual entry for
The
this
last
franchise?
actual entry was Nuts and Bolts, which was a kind of early Xbox 360 game. Maybe there was a Game Boy Advance game that I'm forgetting about that happened after that, but I think it was Nuts and Bolts, which was really the only Banjo-Kazooie game that Xbox ever published.
So
right?
so here's my thought here, right? It's like it's baffling because I feel like in the last 20 years, all you hear from games who have tried to emulate this style is that it's a Banjo-Kazooie like. Like
Right.
everyone is constantly saying, "Hey, this huge dearth, right? That needs to be filled. We're filling it." And how that feedback doesn't manifest into a brand new entry in this series from people who actually own the damn thing is baffling.
And they still own Rare, right? I mean, Rare has been working on just Sea of Thieves. Boy, very pirate themed episode today. They've been working on Sea of Thieves for a long time now, and that game has done really well for them. And then
Right.
Everwild was canceled. And I doubt there's very many people at Rare anymore who had worked on the original Banjo-Kazooie game. So maybe it makes even more sense now for Toys for Bob to do it instead of Rare. But I bet Rare could make it happen as well if you gave them that assignment. If for some reason you don't want to, then boy, after this Spyro game comes out, that should absolutely be Toys for Bob's next assignment, is just let them make a Banjo-Kazooie game. I almost guarantee they'll knock it out of the park. The Spyro remakes they did are great. I love Crash Bandicoot 4. I thought that they did an incredible job with Crash 4, and I'm very excited for their new Spyro game. All right, next up here is Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis to end service on October 7th. Hey, here's another one of these, everybody.
Yay.
This is from Sal Romano at Gamatsu. Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis will end service on October 6th at 11 p.m. Pacific. Square Enix just announced the free-to-play RPG first launch for iOS and Android on September 7th, 2023, followed by PC via Steam on December 7th, 2023. There's a quote here from Square Enix says, "We understand this news may be disappointing, and we sincerely apologize for the abrupt nature of this announcement." Do you remember this one? Because this was the other Final Fantasy VII remake that they announced kind of at the same time as the other one. That was mobile first, and again has kind of some gotcha stuff, and it's a bit more traditionally played. Like, it has turn-based battles. I never touched it. I was always a bit confused by what it even was.
I only know about this. I don't know. I only acknowledge its existence. Like, if someone was like, "Hey, is this a real game?" I would only be able to tell you yes, and that is it. I think, yeah, from my perspective, someone who's deeply unconcerned and uninformed, this barely even registers on the radar. So this is just another case of like, hey, this couldn't find its motion. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I don't think it ever got too much going on, although it lasted for a bit. Not long. You think that if it was doing okay, they would at least get it through the end of this remake trilogy coming out, and we have Revelation releasing next year. Now, from some people who play this game, like Sean, I've heard some good things about it. Right? It has kind of does some storytelling that we haven't seen before. It can look pretty. So it'd be nice if, again, this was a thing where they're like, okay, here's the offline version. Something that Square Enix has also been doing. They have that kind of offline standalone version of Brave Exvius coming out pretty soon as a 2D HD kind of joint. It's called Final Fantasy Resonance, and people are excited for that. Now, maybe it's a bit much to think they're going to do that with this game at a time when they are trying to sell Final Fantasy VII Revelation. Maybe that kind of project might confuse people. Although, again, this project has confused me for its entire life.
I mean, and it's not like, the other big thing in the world called Final Fantasy VII didn't exist back when this came out. I mean, like, certainly the calculus couldn't have been like, we got to move this to get out of the way of the real trilogy remake that we're doing. I don't know.
Again, I think it's like back then, everybody's like, mobile's like a simultaneous pillar. So we have the Final Fantasy VII remake coming out on console, and we can't just port that to mobile, which nowadays you probably could, but we learned that people don't really play games like that. Then we have to have something separate for mobile, and that's why this exists. But it turns out it doesn't work with that. Hey, Square Enix was doing that a lot. Do you remember Final Fantasy VII First Soldier? Remember their Battle Royale game for mobile?
No.
Yeah, that was a thing. That didn't last very long. And again, apparently kind of neat, but also like, who's going to play that? I didn't even play it. And I think it sounds neat. And I still kind of can't be bothered. So it's rough. It's rough out there for these things. Square Enix is constantly trying with mobile. And they have, like everyone else in the mobile space, they have far more failures than they do successes. All right. Nintendo expands the Switch Online's Game Boy and GBA library with 4 more titles. From Liam Doolin at Nintendo Life. Nintendo's today expanded Switch Online GB and GBA library. Switch Online members with a standard subscription can access the Game Boy titles, and if you also have an expansion subscription, you can play the Game Boy Advance title. So for Game Boy, we have Wario Land, Super Mario Land 3. That's a great one. That's just a very good action 2D platform. This was the first game where you can play as Wario. You got all sorts of weird hats to expand his abilities. It's kind of also basically this and the Virtual Boy games were the only ones that play kind of like this game. After that, the series went into a bit more of this puzzle platformer direction, which I also really like, but there's still something about the original Wario Land I'm a fan of.
If memory serves, and maybe I'll actually fire this up on NSO and like see if I can recall the horror. There's a bunch of times where like Wario like faces the screen and he looks like flattened and weird, and I just remember that always like deeply upsetting me.
My big memory my big memory with this one was this is like one of the games where my younger brother accidentally deleted my save file, which like, look, that's going to happen at some point in your life, but
Sure,
it still
sure.
traumatized me. I'm so
Tough
upset
lesson to
about.
learn. Yeah.
Right. Got to be careful with those younger brothers. Sword of Hope 2. Now, Sword of Hope 1 is already on there. These are like very classic style first person RPGs. So it's kind of neat like that. I don't know how much I want to like play through one of these, but
Yeah.
it's interesting that that kind of game is on the Game Boy. And then Fortified Zone, which I don't know much about. When I look at it, it looks a little bit like the old Metal Gear games, maybe a bit more actiony than that. Over on Game Boy Advance. So now they say, just one new game for Game Boy Advance. Well, it's two games in one. Because
That's
this
right.
single package has Dr. Mario and Puzzle League. Now, I never played this collection before. I like the Puzzle League games, also known as Panel Upon. The big one being Pokemon Puzzle League for Nintendo 64. Actually, one of my favorite games. But this version of Puzzle League is incredibly bare bones. It has the game, but not, obviously you don't have the Pokemon accoutrements, but you really don't have anything here. You don't have anything that kind of feels like a campaign. You don't have any fun characters, set dressing, progression. It's that. And then Dr. Mario, I don't know. I like the song from Dr. Mario. I like the vibe of Dr. Mario. I don't really care about playing Dr. Mario that much.
No, it doesn't really do anything for me. It's fine. That game was always just like a weird novelty of like, I'm gonna play this for 15 seconds.
Yeah, it was one of the most, even on the NES, man, it was one of the most, I'll throw this in for a little bit, do that, and then I'm like, all right, back to one of the 5 Mega Mans now, or whatever I have here.
And then the Puzzle League game, this might be the first time I'm laying eyes on what this looks like. I've never seen it in my entire life.
Again, Pokemon Puzzle League, and Pokemon Puzzle League is on the N64 NSO. That is a banger. I like that game a ton. I think it's of all the kind of like drop down puzzle games, its mechanics might be my favorite. Maybe even over a Tetris, even over a Puyo Puyo, and I like all of those styles of games quite a bit. I like all of those more than I like a Dr. Mario. In Japan, they got Tomato Adventure, which never came out over here for Game Boy Advance. Tomato Adventure is the precursor to the Mario and Luigi games. So
no shit.
Yes, if you look at it, like look up Tomato Adventure,
yeah.
it just looks like Mario and Luigi because that was just that team. They did this, and then I was like,
wild.
hey, now we want to make a Mario RPG kind of like this. So it's a shame that they couldn't like give us a translation and give us this because that would be super cool. That's probably more work than they are willing to put into these kind of things. But yeah, Japan got Tomato. If you want to play Tomato Adventure with everybody, there's a fan translation out there, and you can figure out some way, I think, to make that happen. If this is the first time you're learning that this game exists, well, it took a while. It felt like to get this NSO drop. It has been slower than almost ever. It feels like, and especially for GameCube, which is the newest platform. So there already aren't very many GameCube games on there, and it has been months since we've gotten a new one of those. I don't understand the insane drip feed on these things. I'm glad we got these games. It's nice to get them. I'm always excited when we do. It's got to happen a bit faster than this.
Yeah, I don't know what that, again, like to me it feels very reminiscent of all these things that are like very front loaded, and you're almost like, man, this cadence is great, the value here is great, and then things just like dry up, and it's like, all right, it's not an encouraging feeling, especially in the face of like, is there like a price hike in some of this stuff too, right? Like
in Japan, some territory they were increasing the price of NSO. Not here yet, but hold on, right? Just hold on, everybody. I like NSO a lot when there's games to play on it. I played a ton.
It's very solid. Yeah.
I played a ton of NSO. Sometimes the newer consoles like GameCube, I'll have some issues with the emulation there. They eventually fix that stuff. Like N64 is in a similar place, and now that emulation layer feels pretty good. So maybe it'll get there. But for stuff like Super Nintendo, Game Boy Advance, things that are easy to emulate, it's a nice way to play those games for me. I just need more of them. I just need them to speed it up a bit. Again, especially on that GameCube front. What are we waiting for? There are still a ton of games to put on there.
Yep, let's pick up the pace.
All right. Speaking of pace, we are reaching the end of our show, which means it's time to look at last week's poll, which was, are you more or less confident in Xbox's future after today? 61% said less confident. 31% said I feel the same, and just 8% feel more confident.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
These 8%, they're like, I like what they're doing here.
Yo, 8% people, like, hit me up because I just want to interview you. I just want to talk to you and really get inside your broken brain, and just try and figure it all out. Want to know like where you went wrong in life, like how did your life experiences spit you out in a way where you think on the other side of this catastrophic dumpster fire of news that you're like, hey, things are looking up, huh?
How are you feeling about the future of Xbox there, Jerv?
It's funny because I was looking at this and I'm like, I wonder if Feel the Same is sort of like burying the lead a little bit, because I feel like there were a lot of people before this poll came out that probably felt extremely unconfident about where things are going. How am I feeling about Xbox?
Yeah.
I'm pretty much like living in a post Xbox world right now. Like, I don't think it exists really. I think it is just I think it's just 4 letters, and we'll see where that goes. I don't know. If you are living your life knowing what we all know about the way things go, and you are still even the little bit cautiously optimistic, you're just not paying attention to how things go in reality. So I don't know, friends. Feeling pretty down in the dumps about this brand, not gonna lie.
All right, we got a new poll for get us ready for tomorrow's episode. And the question here is, have you played Mario Kart Tour? And your options are yes, no, and this one's for me. I want to see if other people say this. Maybe. I can't remember because I think I did. I feel like I must have, but I don't remember if I did. Maybe I just watched a video of it.
I think I want to say the majority of people are going to fall into that category.
Like,
where you're just like,
remember if I played Mario Kart Tour.
Gotta rub your eyes a little bit, squint, and just sort of be like, huh? What was that? What was that thing? Maybe I did.
Did I do that? Yeah, so I don't know. That's wild to me that I can't remember. So we'll see. I'm curious what other people think about that one. All right, boy, this doc is fun. I was like, there's a section here where it's like, what's happening on Giant Bomb? One of the things listed is Four Swords Fiesta. That was a feature from what, 4 years ago? I think, I don't know, but quite a while ago.
This business had a different ownership when that was written.
The Four Swords Fiesta. We're bringing it back. No. We have a Delight Club popping off later today. You know, Dan was a good boy. Dan finished Space Ace. I know he's not feeling amazing right now. We'll let him have some fun. He's going to just be able to do whatever he wants to play for Delight Club. That's going to be happening. That's at 2 p.m. Eastern today, everybody. And then I'll be back with Game Mess Mornings tomorrow. I've got some guests lined up for the rest of the week. I think, yes, tomorrow I will be having Lexi joining me. So we'll see what fun stuff awaits us then. Voicemail dump truck. What? Give me a teaser for the voicemail dump truck, Bakalar.
A teaser for the voicemail dump truck, you say?
Yeah.
It's the best podcast that you're not listening to, folks. That's what I'm going to tell you. Every week we outdo ourselves in ways that I really can't comprehend. So do yourself a favor, tell your friends, tell your family members, and tell random ass people you meet on the street. 707 exit flu. That's the phone number. You leave a voicemail and you got around an 8 to 15% chance of having us play and react to your voicemail on the show tomorrow. The one and only, the most underrated comedian within the halls of Giant Bomb, Will Crosby, joining the program tomorrow.
That's
so
right.
Make sure you tune in. It is a call-in show. You have to stick around for about 20 to 30 minutes to realize it transforms into a call-in show. But that's the way we do it. Check it out tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I'll have Jason Finelli on Friday for Game Mike mornings, and then
Go
UPF.
Birds.
Yeah, we'll be having a grab bag for that. All righty, we did it. Thank you so much, Jerv. Had a good time talking about the news with you today.
Likewise, Mikey, you're doing a great job. Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you. Until the next Morning Mix, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.